spring of 1999, I lived in New York, in Brooklyn, Williamsburg. Took the L train into town to the garment district, and I bought a bolt of blue denim. One full-length bolt of blue denim. So I painted this all the summer of 1999, and the turn of 2000, and the spring of 2000, and the summer of 2000. At the bottom you have a bar chart. 1492 to the year 2000. The white line is how long white men have been able to vote. The blue line, men of color. And the yellow line, women. How long women have been able to vote. The logo of the NBA is a white player, and the league is mostly black, 80% black. And the four candidates for president: Bill Bradley, Al Gore, George W. Bush, and John McCain. The images of the candidates were taken from the New York Times, and they printed them in negative. And this was the first year that the election was being held with the Times allowing color images. It had always been the old gray lady. And in this instance, all the negative campaigning resulted in them using negative images, so it represents the color switch for the New York Times. The other small detail is that on the line, 1787 appears, and Lincoln appears. One inch equals 12 years, 1492 to 2000. That's No Real Choice 2000. It's been through a lot, this canvas. It's 24 years old. It's sealed with the same gel medium that I always use and have used. It was in that installation for 2 months, so maybe 1,000 people saw it unfinished. There was text, additional text on there. It was in progress. Then it came back, and I worked on it all of the summer of 2000, and in 2001 I sealed it with the gel medium. Hang on, I'll grab that and show that to you. I mean, it's basically this stuff, but this is something I'm using, self-leveling. But matte, clear, is what that is sealed with, and was in 2001. Now, it's survived 9/11. It's been moved many times. Because I travel a lot, and studio is kind of everywhere, one of the ideas is that placing things is really important to me. So we have rational curatorial conversations when we talk about selling my stuff. And I keep things as long as I want, so it's nice that I have been able to control the sales the way I want them. And No Real Choice 2000 has survived, rolled up. That's a very heavy context that it was in. For a brief moment of this canvas's life, it was translated into this death penalty piece, anti-death penalty piece. Creation of this canvas back in 2000, I installed it at South by Southwest in a gallery in Austin, Texas. The voting chamber. It was right during the Super Tuesday of primaries. George W. Bush was running for president while executing more human beings than any governor of any state in history. It was reviewed by the local press, the voting. I installed the canvas on the wall. I went to meet with the anti-death penalty groups, and they ended up having a march from the gallery to the Capitol on behalf of one of the people who was to be executed, Odell Barnes Jr. We proved his innocence, and yet they killed him. Odell Barnes' last words: "I thank you for proving my innocence. Although it has not been acknowledged in the courts, may you continue in the struggle, and may you change all that's been done here today and in the past." And it was the voice of a local community that was being, smothered, swallowed, that I was giving voice to. And it was in New York, right? So I had to transport it from New York to Austin. And I was a New York artist, though I had gone to school in Austin. And I had no connection to the Austin of that time, the year 2000. South by Southwest was young. The canvas came back, was wrapped up, and that's how I would transport it if I was to carry it after sale right now. I would roll it up, put it right back in its very same tube. I think it belongs in a national institution, this one. This one, which had this life, and now I think speaks to a lot of things in the 24 years since that election. Deliberations over Florida. This thing was in the studio, if you can imagine. I was, of course, in New York at the offices of George Magazine, from which I was reporting as a journalist, and we were covering the actual events. So this was a piece I was working on at home in the studio while I had a job as a journalist, this piece, in terms of its provenance and so on. This is the most I've spoken about this thing, but I wanted to put it up. I am thinking about selling it. I would like to place it in an institution. I think it has to be a national institution. It's made in New York, made in Brooklyn. It had a life during the millennium in New York at the time it was made. This canvas will be 25 years old next year. Basically, I began it in 99. I sealed it in 2001. No Real Choice 2000.